I got rejected by Y Combinator. And you know what? A lot of people have something similar to say. But that's fine, because Y Combinator is actually harder to get into than Princeton, Harvard, Stanford universities. So let me explain to you what Y Combinator is. Y Combinator is an accelerator program that invests $125,000 for 10% of your company. And this was back then in 2019 when I first applied to Y Combinator. I think now it's $500,000. And they advise your business and they help you essentially accelerate your business, get customers, and scale up from there. And they do all this to prepare you for their demo day, which is essentially a meeting or a conference where you present your business and ideas to a panel of investors. That's it. These investors will then help you raise your seed, your Series A, your Series B, and I'm talking millions of dollars. So Y Combinator is definitely a good program to go through if you get in and if you have a viable business, because literally once you go through the program, your company valuation goes through the roof. But aside from just the brand, you also get a lot of experience from a lot of folks building businesses, because some of the top companies that are in their portfolio, Stripe, Instacart, and OpenSea. So you get to interact with the key people in these companies and as well as other companies, and you get to get advice from them, you get investments, and it's just a good environment to be in. Let me go through the application process. At least at the time when we applied, these are the questions that they asked. They asked us about our total addressable market, and this was easy for us. So the idea we applied with was food delivery based on high volume areas, and our total addressable market in food delivery is quite big. I don't remember the exact numbers, it was something like $2 billion. So look, you have to like show them the math behind it. So you have to show them like, okay, there are on average like 300 million people in the States at any given time. And out of that, let's say like 50% order food using some sort of app. Out of the 50%, let's say, I don't know, 25% are densely populated in certain areas. So then we're like looking at 300 million, 150 million, and 25% of 150 million is what? Like 30, 40 million? I don't know the exact number. So then you have 40 million potential users. And then you got to calculate an order value. So let's say they on average spend $30 an order and they order 12 times a year. So $30 times 12 times whatever, 30 million, 40 million, then you get this massive big number. So that's a total addressable market. Then they want to see your founder profiles. So they actually get you to introduce yourself, do a write-up, but then they also get you to create an intro video where all three founders have to be together. Now it's allowed to be remote, but back then all three founders had to be in the same spot. Not the same spot, sorry, on the same video. Yeah. So we've all met up, the three founders, all of us met up. We literally recorded it. Took us like 50 tries. None of us are like good in video. I mean, even now I'm struggling with video, but back then I was horrible. Like if I show you guys the video, which I'm not gonna do, but if I did, you guys would cringe. I mean, I cringe just looking at it.
I'm sick of it. It's just so horrible.
So after you've done your intro, then they ask you for your go-to-market strategy. So how do you plan to get your initial set of customers and validate the idea? Then after that, how do you plan to scale it up? What are your marketing efforts? What are your strategies for sales? How are you going to fulfill the orders? What is your operating costs and expenses? They ask you they literally go through every nut and cranny of your product and business. And honestly, a lot of people use the Y Combinator application form just to validate their idea. Literally, they don't even care to apply. They just use it to validate their idea. Can they answer all these questions? And if they can't, then their business might not be as viable as they think. So the last thing they care about is traction. Now, there are people who get through the program with just an idea, but the chances of you going through with just an idea are even lower than their overall acceptance rate. So you're basically winning the lottery if you can land on a great idea. You probably have like a great background or some sort of profile, or you might have had a few exits in other companies. That's the only time they'll ever consider you with just an idea. Anywhere else, they expect you to have traction. And at this point, I think we launched our product for about a month and we had about $1,000 in revenue. So our traction was quite small. So we were already pretty weak in our application because we hadn't really tested our software for that long yet, and our traction wasn't that big yet. And the reason for that was also because the pandemic started around this time. So we literally we couldn't continue our operations because our campus shut down. That's where we launched our product. Our university campus shut down. So yeah, we submitted our application and we actually got a response back, which we were all shocked. We were like, okay, this is a good sign. They're already they've read our application and it was interesting enough for them to respond to us. And the response wasn't a rejection, if you were wondering.
Hell no!
The response was asking what we're planning to do now that the pandemic has affected our operations. So this is a really good question, right? Like, the pandemic has clearly affected us. How are we going to react to it? Now, our response is what got us rejected. When we replied to this email, we got the rejection literally 2 days after. Like, it was a very quick turnaround. Our response was, we're gonna go back to the drawing board and refactor our product, fix a lot of the kinks and bugs. Because again, at this point, this was an MVP. The product was barely functioning. It just worked good enough to fulfill those deliveries. That's about it. There's a lot of bugs. It was very slow. The routing process was completely manual. Literally, I was sitting there routing the order from A to B. It wasn't automated at all. It wasn't like Uber or Skip where you put the order and then the software algorithm figures out how to deliver the order. No, I was doing it step by step. So that's what we responded with, and they did not like that answer at all. What they wanted to hear is, now that the pandemic is going on and the world's going to become more remote, people are going to be at home, people are going to order more. So we, instead of focusing on university campuses where there's a lot of volume, we should focus on broader neighborhoods. They wanted us to scale our operations up. They wanted us to do more deliveries. They wanted us to do more marketing, more than ever. And in hindsight, it makes sense. If we continued, maybe we would have been one of the bigger food applications, the food delivery applications. But we didn't, and we got rejected, and we shut down operations. Again, this was around university graduate. I was like 21, 22, didn't have any money.
I'm broke, nigga! I'm broke!
Had to pay off my student loans, so then I just went off and got a job, and downhill since then. But anyways, now we're here making YouTube videos. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.